What's up, basement dwellers? Welcome to another edition of the Jersey Fanatics. I'm Chris the Dace Man Dace, joined by Eric Barrizzo.
Let's go hunting.
And Tyler's got some business to take care of at Cooperstown because of some shit and the way it went down. Anyway, we're going to be talking about Hall of Fame, the candidates that did get in, candidates that didn't get in, and then we'll be talking about how the Dodgers are absolutely ruining baseball and the Phillies are pretty much done for the offseason.
And by let's go hunting, I mean let's find that one person that didn't vote for Ichiro.
That, to me, is shocking.
Person.
One person, 99.7% of the vote, Ichiro gets in. Everybody knew he was getting in. The question was it going to be unanimous, or was there some dickhead anti-Seattle Mariners fan that was going to vote against him? And the answer is, yep, there's some New Yorker who was an asshole about it, because we all know they're from New York.
Yeah, 100%, because they wanted Mariano Rivera to be the only unanimous person in the hall, and that's it. They didn't want anybody else. But come on, man.
Yeah.
Freaking Ichiro.
The man had a 19-year MLB career. I would say the best years he's had were before I even knew anything about baseball. And I wouldn't say I became a well-rounded baseball fan until recently, and he's not in the league anymore, obviously. So I even knew who the hell Ichiro was. And
everyone did. Like he was one of the few players that you tried to emulate with his swing, because his swing was so weird that everyone tried to emulate it, like Ken Griffey Jr., all that stuff. Gary Sheffield. You know, he was just one of those players that you wanted to emulate and you could truly look up to. You know, there was never a bad thing that he did or was said or nothing. Like he was such a good player. And like I know they don't really care because it's the Japan League, but he played 9 years in Japan and had over a 300 batting average over there too.
And then played 19 more years here in the States.
Yeah, the dude played freaking what is that? 28 years?
Yeah. Holy shit.
Like, yeah, 28 years of playing baseball, and he finished over 3,000 hits just in the majors, and just his stats were incredible, absolutely incredible.
Well, everybody agreed except for one guy.
And he took Mariano Rivera deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, there you go.
So
it was definitely a New York beat reporter who was still holding a grudge.
100%. 100%.
Well, other people that got into the Hall of Fame was CC Sabathia.
Which he definitely deserved it. He's one of the best left-handed pitchers out there. Like, I understand that.
And then Philly, great, the legendary, gonna be on the Wall of Fame for sure. Billy Wagner, Billy the Kid, Billy, your local warehouse manager. He made it. The Phillies have been posting like crazy, even though he was here for a cup of coffee. One of the better closers of his generation. What are your thoughts on Billy, the Philly great? And like, you think Philly, you think Billy Wagner. What do you think of him?
He's the first person you think of when somebody shows the Phillies logo from that era. You're like, you know what? Yep, Billy Wagner. Like, it's just, you know, he was an all-star for us in 2005. He had great numbers like his whole entire career. I think his only like bad batting average against him was actually in New York. So he had like over 200 batting average against him for those like 2 or 3 years after he left us. But when he was here, he was amazing. Like he pitched really damn well, and he did exactly what you wanted him to do. You wanted him to throw the 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and you know, before today's generation that could throw that just, you know, in practice and having fun, he was throwing literally his whole entire body to make sure that he threw 100. So it was so amazing to see him actually out on the mound, and I loved every second of it, even if it was for 30 seconds of him being on the Phillies. Like it was fantastic, especially going from him to Brad Lidge. It was, you know, great closer after great closer for us during that time period. But Billy definitely deserved it. It sucks that it took him. You know, this was the 10th and final year, so if he didn't make it this year, he was off the ballot and done for good.
See, now, like, I hate I'm really new to this process of actually caring about the Hall of Fame because now there are players that I know like who Mike Schmidt is and stuff like that, but I wasn't paying attention to the Hall of Fame when he went in. Um, but like I start to know a lot of the players. Like I knew most of the ballot that was up there. Um, I don't like how this voting process is done, and I'm sure I'm definitely not the first to say it. Um, I just don't. He got in after 10 attempts. What changed from attempt 1 to attempt 10? Except for that
Well, there
people
could
just went,
be
just throw him a bone.
well there that, and there could be, like you saw today. There's people that's only voting for four people or three people. Like one guy shared his ballot, and it was just for the three,
Mm-hmm.
just Ichiro, CC, and Billy Wagner. That's it. That was the only three that he voted for, and you could, being a baseball writer, you can get up to 10 people that you could vote for. So it could be just that they knew it was the 10th um, the 10th ballot, and instead of just writing for their typical three, they were like, you know what, let's all come together and make sure that we get them the amount that he needs in order to get in, which is 75% of the vote.
Which is dumb. Because, like, if you agree that he should be in the Hall of Fame, why didn't you vote for him the first fucking year?
Yeah, because like
Or,
next year they already said that it's going to change for Andrew Jones because he
mm-hmm,
was at 70%. So there's not really many people that are Hall of Fame worthy, I guess you can say, that are coming on the 26th ballot.
okay.
So I guess you're going to have more people that are just like, all right, we voted for who we wanted to vote for. Let's add Andrew Jones now. But I completely agree. It's beyond stupid that it's not really, it's politics in a way, because some of the great players will never be in. Like, no matter how much I hate Barry Bonds, he's never going to get in. No
Mm-hmm,
matter how much I hate, or not
same.
hate, Sammy Sosa, he's not going to get in.
Mark
you
McGuire.
know yeah, Mark McGuire, Roger Clemens, or Roger Clemens isn't, I think, but Alex Rodriguez, like all these people that truly do deserve and to be in the Hall of Fame, and after the numbers that they put up, but they'll never get there because of what they did for baseball, and just who the like Kurt Schilling. I don't think I can't
He fell
remember if
off,
he's
didn't
in.
he?
Yeah, yeah, I think he did. So, um, like he's another one that deserved to be in there, but because of
His
he's a
mouth.
shitty ass person, he'll never get in.
Yeah. I do think it's a little ridiculous. I could see the justification of maybe not voting him in their first year because I do think there's something special to sit there and call somebody a first ballot Hall of Famer. They use that
Oh,
term a lot
absolutely.
in wrestling. The
Yeah,
guys, even though they don't do a fucking ballot in WWE, they just kind of call them and say, "Hey, you want to go in?" Again, Coco Beware went in there way before a lot of other people. So a guy with a bird over like Lex Luger, who's not in there yet. Come on. Um. Anyway, it just seemed weird to me that like if you are going to drag this out to the 10th year, or in Scott Rowland's case, dragging it out to the 6th year, why? If you feel that he should be in there, why didn't you just vote for him the first time? If you voted for 10 that were eligible, like that would go in there, and he was your 11th pick, I get it. But you're voting for three, you're voting for four, and then you just like, oh, well, I'm going to throw Billy Wagner a bone this year because this is last year.
yeah.
Motherfucker, why didn't you vote for him earlier?
Like even they said on the MLB Network that CC Sabathia was throwing hard or pitching hard, for no pun intended, for Andy Pettit.
Mm-hmm.
He said that he did steroids, and he's a fantastic pitcher, and maybe he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not really sure with his stats and everything, but his numbers went up, and that's allegedly because, or that's by CC Sabathia basically going on like a PR run for him, just to be able to get his name out there more and just
Make
talk
sure he didn't
about the
fall off the
person he
ballot.
is. Yeah. So it's kind of ridiculous. Like, they said that Chase Utley's he went up too. He went from like 28%. Now he's at like 39%. So he went up like 10 or 11%.
which is just it feels like it's petty. Like, oh, I don't. I'm a Mets fan. I don't like what he did with that slide,
Yeah,
or
and
it
so
just
they
it's
said that
dumb.
he's on track to make the Hall of Fame now because of what his numbers are increasing by. But
Hmm.
it's exactly what you said. It's so incredibly stupid. If you believe that he's a Hall of Famer, okay, like you said, don't put him first ballot. Like that's for your Ichiro, that's for your CC Sabathia, Manny Ramirez, or Mariano Rivera, like those kind of players like that. Like I get that, but to wait and keep pushing them harder and harder, and you have to go out and you got to send tape to the beat writers, and you got to send them articles about why you deserve it and
It's
beg
bullshit.
basically. Yeah, it's horse shit, man. if,
Yeah.
if you're if you're a baseball beat writer, you should know baseball. You should know why he deserves it. You should know all these players that are on the list every single year.
Hmm. Do you know if anyone fell off?
There was like 12 people that fell off this year because they went underneath 5%.
Well, I know J. Roll made it. He got
Yeah,
19.
it was like Dustin Pedroia. He fell off. Uh,
Really?
yeah, there was a bunch of names.
See, I thought he at least would stick around another year. Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, maybe he didn't. Maybe he was on the list underneath.
But I know at least Phillies wise, everybody hung on, except for our all star. He's synonymous with the city. Billy Wagner got in.
Yeah,
And anyone who's not like, I highly doubt if you're not a Phillies fan, you're listening to this. But if you happen to be like a Nationals fan or don't understand why I keep taking jabs at the Phillies organization for this, he's gonna go in with an Astros logo on his hat. He was an Astro for like what 10 years, and then came here for 2, and then New York for 3.
yeah,
But the way that the Phillies are talking about him is as if it was Aaron Nola making a run for it, who grew up here, drafted to here, ended his career here, type guy.
yeah. I don't understand it.
I, it just I got a text, I got an email, I got Twitter blew up, all the Phillies socials all blew up, just saying, "Oh, our boy's in." It's like, is he our boy, or was like he just like stopping here on his way to New York from Texas?
Yeah. So Russell Martin fell off.
Okay,
Ian Kinsler fell off. Brian McCann fell off. Troy Tulowitzki fell off. Curtis Granderson fell off. Adam Jones, Carlos Gonzalez, Hanley Ramirez, Fernando Rodney, and Ben Zobrist.
okay.
They all fell off. And it was all their first time on the ballot. So first time, see ya. Dustin Pedroia did make it. He was underneath Jimmy. He was at 11.9,
Okay.
uh, and Jimmy was at 18.
Out of those
And
names that fell off, anyone shock you a little bit?
I think the only one that shocked me that really didn't like not fell off, but
Hmm.
I figured he would get a couple more votes was just Troy Tulowitzki because of what he meant for the Rockies organization.
Mm.
Like I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but to fall off on this first ballot, I didn't see that coming. Um, like Hanley Ramirez was a good player. He didn't get any votes.
Did he?
Fernando Rodney,
Didn't Hanley Ramirez have like an attitude problem? I feel
yeah,
like I remember a game watching it and he just left. Like he was in the outfield and he
yeah,
found an opening and he just literally walked off the field through the outfield gate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fernando Rodney, honestly, I have no idea who that is, so I can't
Yeah.
say. I'm surprised that he didn't get any votes. Ben Zobrist, I don't know if people were making the joke that he should have gotten at least one vote, but there was a lot of people tweeting like, how could his own beat writer not vote for him? So, like, I don't know if that was a joke or not because I'm not familiar with it, but
Mhm.
like there was a couple people that um like I
T-
thought would be higher. Like I thought Jimmy Rollins would be higher. I thought Pedroia would be higher. I thought Burley would be higher. and Francisco Rodriguez. I also thought David Wright was going to be hired too.
What about
Um,
Felix Hernandez? King Felix, right? Wasn't he on the
yeah,
ballot?
yeah, he got 20.6.
Okay, I expected him to come in high because I mean,
Well, it's his first ballot, so
yeah.
he's more than likely on his that fucking projection that these freaking beat writers. I don't know. Like it was awesome seeing they interviewed CC. He had his whole entire family there. It was awesome to see all of that. Um, it was also awesome to see Billy Wagner. It was just I guess his wife in the video.
Mm-hmm.
He was bawling his eyes out, so that was pretty cool to see. Would never recognize him. You could put him in front of me right now, and I would have no idea who he was. Like he looks like your everyday average like Home Depot greeter. Like
Mm-hmm.
I just never would have guessed. Um, but it was really cool to see him basically break down and be very excited by it. I don't know. Like Beltran is next up. He's more than likely going to get it next year. He's at 70.3. Andrew Jones is at
Mm-hmm.
66.2. So those two are both going to be voted in next year. And then that's when Chase Utley comes in third at 39.8. So it's a massive drop off. So he's probably going to, it's Chase Utley's second time on the ballot. So more than likely he'll probably be on the same projection as, who'd you say was sixth?
I just don't know.
No, you said it was their sixth time. Scott Rowland.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So more than likely he's going to be on that same path where it's going to be his sixth time. So um, I think it's
So here's some names that are eligible in 2026. I don't know if it stirs the pot or whatever. Ryan Braun.
like he's been amazing for the Brewers. Don't get me wrong, but I think his injury history is what's going to do him dirty.
There's a couple Phillies on here.
Yeah.
Shin-So Chu. Edwin Encarnacio.
Yeah.
Gio Gonzalez. Alex Gordon. Pretty boy, pretty penis himself. Cole Hamels. Matt Kemp. Howie Kendrick. Nick Markakis. Daniel Murphy. Rick Porcello. Neil Walker. And Hunter Pence.
See, out of all of them, I think the best chance that has an opportunity to become a Hall of Famer would be Cole Hamels. I don't think the rest of them are Hall of Fame worthy, and I really don't think Cole Hamels is Hall of Fame worthy. But he had a really damn good career, and
Guess who's eligible in 2027? Jake Arrieta.
I mean, he had some amazing
Oh,
years in Chicago. But,
he deserves the Hall of Fame for the con he pulled on Philadelphia. Just hands down the heist of the century.
he was busted for steroids, though, wasn't he?
That's probably before he came to Philadelphia.
Yeah, probably.
Jay Bruce is eligible. Brett Gardner, Jay Happ, Buster Posey, he's going in. Kyle Seager, Ryan Zimmerman. You think Ryan Zimmerman's going to get in?
I mean,
National for
eventually.
yeah.
I don't think first ballot.
Albert Pujols is available in 2028. He's really big. That'll be 5 years for him. Jeez.
Now that's a tough case right there. Like I think they're gonna put him in, but he shouldn't because he's basically the same thing as Alex Rodriguez and Andy Pettit and all that stuff right there. So I you know, if one is a steroid user,
Yadier Molina's that year too. Steven Strasburg. Stephen Vaught in 2029. Joey Votto, Adam Wainwright, Miguel Cabrera. He's going in. And then, 2030 is Charlie Blackmon because I guess he officially announced his retirement this year.
see, so 2026 and 2027 suck. Basically, there's probably one or two that may make it, or that should get votes at least, not make it on the first ballot. But
Buster Posey might be first ballot.
yeah, yeah, he's your only one. Um,
And he's not till 2027, though.
Yeah, so 2026 is going to be a rough year. Like I said, there's only one, which is Cole Hamels. Like the rest of them are. I mean, where this Hall of Fame is heading is the Hall of Very Good. It's not of Hall of Amazing. So maybe Cole Hamels gets it, but I don't know. That's probably the same bullshit where they're sending tapes to the beat writers and going the politics way.
I think Cole will eventually get it at some point. I don't think he's first ballot. I think your point of Beltran. What did you say, Beltran?
Beltran and Andrew Jones.
Yeah, I think they go in. I think Chase may go in next year if that's the class that's coming in, and then the class that's there. Is there anyone who would fall off next year that they would feel sad for, like Bobby Abreu?
No.
You just don't want him in there because you don't like him.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel bad at all.
I'll tell you what, though. You know who's eligible in 2030? Andrew Knapp to the Hall. You know what's fun? My Google suggests these weird articles from sites that you would never click if you were just doing it yourself.
Yep,
Uh,
100%.
and it said, Phillies fan favorite decides to retire. And I'm like, whose favorite is he?
I probably had the same exact article pop up. And I'm like, dude, you got the wrong person on this one.
Like, were you just taken aback by someone's ironical statement of, oh, he's my favorite?
Yeah.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, that's the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to our icon. Put a statue up next to Rocky of Billy Wagner. And then also congratulations to Sabathia and Ichiro. Like Ichiro, again, that's a name I knew before I knew baseball or actually shown any interest in baseball. I knew who Ichiro was.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. Everyone did. Everyone knew his name. It's really a shame that apparently the one baseball writer didn't know his name, so he didn't put him down.
I bet you he is probably racist. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
It was Donald Trump.
It's Donald Trump. He went, is he here legally? I don't know if my little executive order covers that little shit. So can he go in the Hall of Fame if he's not here legally?
Oh shit.
Who knows? Maybe that was the executive order. One of them. He signed like 100 of them yesterday.
Yeah.
Maybe one of them was like Ichiro cannot go in the Hall of Fame, and then everybody 99.7% of the writers went, "What?"
Unanimously. You can't go in unanimously.
So we're gonna go talk about highlights and just accolades of baseball to something that we over here on the East Coast think is destroying baseball. To no fault of their own, they are playing the system as the system was built, but it still sucks to watch. I probably wouldn't care if it was in the American League. Actually, I didn't care when it was in the American League when the Yankees were doing it. The Dodgers, they have literally signed everybody. Like I think they've made more signings in this offseason they have roster spots. They have in the past week they went and signed Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates. Who else did they get? Oh, the Roku. He fucking signed as we were recording last week.
Yeah. I don't know if it was Kiki that was signed last week or if it was this week, but I know he was just recently signed by them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're literally bringing in every single person, and I don't like Kirby Yates is 38 years old. He had probably his best season ever last year, so I understand that he's ring chasing. Like I get it, but like, God, it fucking sucks, man. It's just
it's now at the point that feels like they're signing so nobody else can sign.
yeah.
They're not going to utilize these people. I mean, you got it to the point where like Mookie's going to be a fucking utility player at some point just because of how many position players you have. You know he could play every position, just play him off the bench.
Well, they also have like 10 starters, like
Yeah.
10. worthy starters. Like they broke it down on, I don't know what it was. It was on some Twitter page that I was reading. Um, but they broke it down basically to a varsity and JV. And
Hmm.
Clayton Kershaw, like he's still technically, I don't know, retired or just not signed or what's going on with him, but
He's
he's
coming
not on
back
the
off
team right now.
the Tommy Johns, isn't he? Or at least some kind of arm surgery where
Yeah,
he
something.
wasn't
Yeah,
expected to sign till midway through the year anyway. And
yeah,
assuming he was going to be with the Dodgers just because he's been a Dodgers boy from the get-go.
his whole career. So more than likely he's going to be signed as well. But like he's the he's the starter on the JV roster because the whole entire varsity starters are all aces or could be all aces on any other MLB team. So
So,
like I get it because we had this exactly like you said. We had it with the Yankees. So it fucking sucks, man. But I just feel like how the Dodgers are doing it is worse than what the Yankees did because all these players are, or majority of them are deferred money.
mhm.
So it's you know Magic Johnson is a partial owner. All these other partial owners, they're not going to be there in the 30 years that this money is going to be due. Like,
Yeah.
so who fucking cares right now? We'll sign everybody and anybody for $100 million. You want it? Take it. We don't care. We're not going to be alive in 30 years, so that's their problem.
And also, how is it good for the game? I mean, I get wanting to build a dynasty, and I don't think baseball has ever gotten to a point where they, at least in the modern era, where they've built a dynasty that like every World Series has the same team from one league. Like basically how the Patriots ran roughshag on the NFL, and now the
Yeah,
Kansas City Chiefs are. You always had somebody made it in, and the World Series was always fresh, and it's like, oh, we're gonna have a new champion this year. Maybe a repeat, but you're definitely not getting the three-peat.
yeah,
Like it just they feel like they're trying to build the Dodgers to get the three-peat, maybe a 4-1, maybe fit like just make them into a dynasty, and it's like, first of all, you're not in a baseball town. I don't care what you say. There are, there's no homegrown Dodger fans. I've met a few, but the people you show on TV that are showing up to these playoff games that can afford these fucking playoff games are celebrities who
oh
have
yeah, for sure.
no interest and are not from your area.
Yeah,
Like, what do you do to a guy who fuck like the Cubs? I'm not a Cubs fan, but they waited what 112 years before they got their first World Series, or like got a chance to celebrate.
yeah,
And you're watching now to the point where they're not going to get a chance because
no, not even close. And even like the Phillies, we have an amazing roster on paper,
mhm.
but it doesn't compete with the all-star team that is the Dodgers. And like you see all these beat reporters, like even your best friend Bob Nightingale, he's saying that the Dodgers aren't killing baseball, they're making it more fun. How?
It's not unless you are a Dodgers fan or willing to become a Dodgers fan. They're a brand. They are like the New York Yankees symbol. Rappers wore it because it was cool to wear. It wasn't so
Yeah.
much the team, and that's what the LA symbol now is.
Like, it makes no sense at all how anybody could be um like a legit supporter of what they're doing. Like even Justin Verlander's brother, Ben Verlander. He
They're
said,
they're related.
I think so, no?
I have no idea. It would make sense that like it doesn't seem like it's a common last name. I just never made the connection.
Yeah, I thought they were.
They might be.
I could be completely wrong then. But
Well,
either
they
way,
are now. So
yeah,
just for,
they're related. They're breaking news. Roki Sasaki chooses the Dodgers, and now everyone is mad. Don't be mad at the Dodgers. Be mad at every other team for sitting on their heels and doing nothing. Salary cap? Question mark. No more deferrals? Question mark. Where's
see
Alex Bregman go and listen here to my podcast?
see now the Roki signing didn't piss me off because honestly, I think just statistically and just for logistically, Japanese players are going to want to play on the West Coast because it's easier to get home to Japan. The same
Yeah,
reason why Juan Soto preferred the East Coast, because it's an easier commute to the Dominican Republic when he wants to. I wasn't. That's not the tipping point for me. The tipping point is all the deferred money.
yeah.
Like, okay, we have owners who are kind of trying to be fiscally responsible, where they don't tank their friggin' team in 10 years. We'll call them the Ruben Amaro strategy, where he sold the fucking house to build a team that was good for 5 years, and then the dark age came. So you got 5 years, but you doubled the length of time before they actually made it back to the playoffs again.
Hmm.
And you have a team that's trying to thread that line of like having a future while still being competitive. And then you got a team that said, fuck it, we'll just sign any free agent. You build them, you put the money, you put the effort in them. There's not going to, like, why would you be loyal to a team if you're a player when you know you could just get money? Like, there are some players that have that integrity and will want to, like Bryce Harper, I feel like is to the point where I don't know if he would get those big bucks, but I think he would probably give a consideration to Philadelphia before chasing deferred money. But Juan Soto, I really feel like if LA was on the East Coast, he would have been there.
Well, with Bryce, I don't know if he would do that either, though, because even Chase Utley,
Hmm.
he went there. Chooch
So,
went there.
so, but they all went in a trade and then decided to stay. Chase kind of makes sense because isn't he from Cali? He's a Cali
Yeah,
boy originally, so it kind of he's a baseball fan. He grew up with the Dodgers. He stayed with the Dodgers. It's not our fault that again we'll call it the Ruben Amara era. Went and said, "All right, you guys can have my '08 team. I'm going to try to start new." But at that point, it was just too damn late. Pulling from a farm that wasn't a good farm.
yeah, because he traded all of his farm pieces.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the only thing that the Dodgers aren't doing is they're not trading any of their farm pieces. They're just signing every single person.
See, and that to me destroys baseball because now you're relying on other teams to build they're your farm.
Yeah,
And I will pay top. You're not even paying top dollar. You're saying I'm going to put this on a credit card and worry about it tomorrow.
yep,
So,
yep,
like, if you're, I'm not saying he's going to do it, but if you're Aiden Miller, let's say they extend Bohm, you've got Trey blocking your way, and you got Bryce blocking first as well. So, like, your infield and the Phillies are set for the next 10 years. You're Aiden Miller. You hit free agency. They go, hey, we'll give you $300 million to and defer it, and you come play here, and you'll be our bench player. And maybe the Phillies go, hey, we'll give you 20 million on a 2-year deal, and you can play second because we're done with Stott. He's gonna go
yeah.
fucking to LA
No, 100%.
because
And
there's no future in the Philadelphia organization for him, right, wrong, or indifferent. But like, we built Aiden, we drafted Aiden, we're cultivating Aiden, and the Dodgers would reap the benefits of Aiden.
like you said, like it doesn't bother me about the Roki signing.
Mm.
The part that pisses me off is the same part that you just said that pisses you off. It's the deferred money. Like Shohei Ohtani is making like $3 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's absolutely insane. In no world is Alec Bohm making more money than Shohei Ohtani,
Yeah,
just AAV wise.
yeah, and I'm not so much mad at the deferrals, but like limit how many you can do.
Yeah.
You shouldn't
Yep.
be able to defer every guy. Like you deferred Teoscar Hernandez twice. You
Yeah.
have him on 2 deferral plans. You can't build like if I did that in my personal finances, the IRS would be up my ass. I'd be drowning in friggin' interest rate debt. And it's like, no, it's okay. They can do it.
Yeah. That's the frustrating part is like everyone keeps on saying like I think even Ben said it on one of his tweets that you can't be mad at them, you got to be mad at your own owners, but because the players aren't coming there. Like in no world would Shohei choose to come to Philly.
Well,
In no world would Mookie Betts choose to come to Philly. No matter how much money you're gonna give it to him, like LA is the marketing place to go. It's either that or New York. Like
Well, even so much, if you take the whole markets out of the equation, I actually, as infuriating and frustrating as it has been that they haven't made any what we have deemed meaningful acquisitions, they're being fiscally responsible. So when we go to a game in 3 years after we move on from some of these let's say JT, Kyle, Nick, um, Zach might be at the end of his run at that point. They all move on. We're not out of contention. Whereas in 5 years in LA, they're going to still be carrying the debt from last year's World Series. And if they're still allowed to keep deferring shit, let's say MLB steps up and says no more deferrals or 2 deferrals a team going forward. LA can't do shit.
yeah,
Like
and
they have
that's
so much money outstanding. They have like 20 Bobby Bonilla days.
yeah, and that's kind of what I don't want to say is going to happen, but in I think it's the CBA is up in 2027.
Okay.
So I think it's after next season. So there's going to be there. I would assume there has to be some kind of conversation that's going to be happening about that deferrals and all that stuff. And like I have to imagine that's number one on the docket. And I could be completely wrong, and the owners don't really give a shit.
Well, but they should, because at what point can any other team build a market? Like, admittedly, LA's market is what, last 5-10 years. Like
Yeah,
they weren't New York. New York was the big market. Like they dominated it for however many years. Hell, even Houston can have a claim of being a pretty popular market for maybe the last 5-6 years because they've just been
yeah,
they've been a team that's been doing well, right, wrong, or indifferent. LA bought their way into being that kind of market. And now you're telling the other teams of like, well, yeah, it's okay. Why don't you do it too? How? There's not enough players with that kind of talent that everybody can do that. Not that they should want to.
and like even still, like they're saying, oh, they're chasing rings and they're going to play with the great teams. Like the Phillies have made the playoffs the last 4 years. You
Hmm.
know, they've gone down every single year, but in 2022 they made the World Series. We didn't see a rush of players wanting to come over here. Like there was just Trey Turner, but that was all assumed because of Bryce Harper.
That was
Like that,
assumed before they even went on the run. Like
yeah,
basically, you were talking about that before the All Star break, before the Phillies were even considered for the postseason.
it was because his wife was from the area. Like she wanted to come back, so that was basically set in stone. So that's not like you're going out and Juan Soto didn't choose to come to Philly. Like Shohei didn't choose to come to Philly. Like all these big name players that were, you know, even if we attempted to go after Manny Machado, he didn't come to Philly. Like Bryce Harper chose us,
Hmm.
and that's him and Trey are the biggest names that we got. Um, but there's nobody that was like, you know what, the Phillies just made the World Series last year. I think it would be a good investment for me to go there. And who knows if we ended up offering more money to all the people and they just chose whoever it was to go
I,
there instead of coming here.
I feel like the only one we got burnt on in probably recent years was Yamamoto Yoshi.
Yeah,
But again, I'm going to keep chalking that up to they don't want to be on the East Coast.
yeah.
It just and I get it. As a man who hates flying to California, I get it. Like I don't want to have to fly to Philadelphia, go to California, then catch over to Japan. Like I don't want to do any of that. I wouldn't want to do any of that shit in my off time. Um,
And I feel like maybe they're trying to prove that it's a good destination for the Japanese players with signing that one dude they just signed. I already forget his name, so
but
terrible on that. So I apologize, but um, I think they're trying to start that back up.
Like
maybe. I don't know.
if you want to move here and stay here, yeah, I think you can make the pitch that like, hey, the East Coast is a better. It's not on fire. You got
Yeah,
that. But it's also kind of sucks too because there are multiple teams on the West Coast. But the way the Dodgers are bullying that kind of market, the Padres have already signaled they have financial troubles. Like every year, they're on the brink of like we got to unload salary because we're getting killed on the Bills.
yeah,
The Athletics have been historically cheap. That's not changing anytime soon. They don't have a stadium. The Giants, I guess they could have made a run for it, but okay, you're down to the Giants, Mariners, and Dodgers that can make a play for it and still have like that West Coast easy Japan access.
yeah.
But
And
then
like, and
none of
even
the
with
sorry,
no, go ahead.
I was saying none of them had Japanese players, right? So now
Yeah,
you've
no,
already made the big acquisition in Shohei, and now you've got that leg up plus the leg up of I'll give you whatever you want and just defer it. Um, just how do you compete with that and then say your owners aren't doing anything? I bet you every fucking owner tried and went,
yeah.
no, I don't want I don't want to have to sell my team.
And then you don't know if it was true. Just going back to the Roki signing with the Dodgers, allegedly he was telling everyone that he didn't want any players to come to any meetings, and he also didn't want to go to a big market. He wanted to be in a small market. That's what he wanted because in his mind, allegedly, he just felt like he could be more of a star in a smaller market. So like the Cubs thought they had a better shot, the Blue Jays thought they had a better shot, but then you see that Shohei and Yoshi were like on the call and they were recruiting him, even though allegedly he didn't want that. And then obviously he signed with the Dodgers anyway, so that's still your major market. So it's like everything that you heard, you don't know if it was true or not, but it all ended up being a lie.
See what now where there's smoke, I think there's fire. Gotta probably get off the fire topic considering we're talking LA. Um, I can see Roki not wanting to come to. Maybe he's not as good as everybody's making him out to be, and he felt that playing in a smaller market, um, it would be less of a oof, like kicking the like. If he was not as advertised and played in Philadelphia, Philadelphia would have let him know,
Yeah.
and I could totally see that. Like as a player, that's a major turnoff. I mean,
Well,
look what they did. Look what we did to Trey. Look what we're constantly trying to fucking unload Castellanos, even though he has consistent streaks. Um, we weren't shopping Bohm. Like I can totally see like, and most of that came from the Philly fan base.
and then like Granke, he was rumored years ago that he was going to be traded here,
Hmm.
and he flat out like he was probably the only player that said, "I absolutely do not want anything to do with playing in Philly." He has major anxiety issues. He's come out with that numerous times,
Hmm.
and like he would have gotten destroyed here mentally, whatever it could be. But like
One
he
bad
made it
game.
a point to never come here.
Yeah, one bad game would have sent him down a fucking spot. Like he wouldn't have bounced back like Trey or bounced back like Nick or bounced back like Schwarber. He would I can see where that can run on somebody's mentality, especially as a pitcher. You pitch every 5 days. If
Yeah,
you're pitching every 5 days and you're pitching in Philly and you have two bad starts in a row, oh dear God,
yeah,
you're
100%.
look how we talk about Taiwan Walker.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that like we're the reason Taiwan Walker's bad because he just sucks, but I'm sure it does not play well in his head, and it's not making things easier for him to try to make that comeback,
Oh, absolutely not.
which is what I was totally getting from the Roki situation. Like, if you're sitting there saying you want to play for a smaller market, that to me sounds like, and even signing with the Dodgers, you're looking for protection. If you're in a smaller market, they won't get as mad because it's a smaller market. If you're playing for the Dodgers, you're the sixth fucking starter.
Yeah,
You're protected. You're
yeah.
probably the seventh, eighth fucking starter because, like we pointed out, Kershaw hasn't signed yet, but he's expected to go back there just because legacy. Um, And then Flattery's out there. He hasn't re-signed, and he was part of the World Series team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's going to. Well, I can't say that he's not going to the goddamn Dodgers because you thought they were done weeks ago. But in theory, they shouldn't need another starter unless they just want to dick with Atlanta or Boston, who's trying to get him.
Yeah, but we're getting back to us. We're not
Mhm.
linked to anybody.
No.
Like
And a piece of news I sent you earlier today, the one guy we kept talking about of possibly being connected to, if like we had the three ending pieces to our bullpen. Hoffman went to Boston. Uh, Scott signed with Dodgers. Estevez is now linked to the
Hoffman went to
Cubs.
Blue Jays.
Oh, Hoffman went to the Blue Jays. But Estevez is now linked to the Cubs.
Oh, yeah. It doesn't seem like they realize that we need bullpen pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like our bullpen was struggling to end the year, to start the year. Middle of the year they were pretty good, but you don't have, like, I think they said there's only like two or three players that are still on the roster in the bullpen from last year's opening day roster.
Yeah, I would say Strom.
It was like Strom, Alvarado, and Kirkring or something like that.
Yes.
Or one of them was on IL, so it was just the two.
But to your point, I mean, I feel like we probably dodged a bullet on Hoffman. That to me, I wouldn't have wanted to take that risk for the price that he was asking. And obviously, two
Yeah,
other teams said the same fucking thing. Um, and you pointed out in last week's episode, or maybe it was one of you guys pointed out, they have to have an end of year physical. So the Phillies already knew. All right, there's something fishy going on up there, but we're not going to
yeah,
say anything so you can play the market. Which at that point, okay, don't sign Hoff. Then you hear the bad news that Tanner Scott goes to the Dodgers, the fucking team that keeps getting every goddamn player on the planet. Oh, okay, well, Estevez was here, and then you get the story today that the Cubs are linked to them. Are we done?
it really seems like we're done. Like I said, we signed that one player, a 31-year-old guy, basically trying to give him another Hoffman kind of run. We signed him to our minor leagues, and
Mm-hmm.
he could come up and pitch for us. He was a good pitcher over, and I think the KBO or whatever. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we want to. We're doing the complete opposite of what the Dodgers are doing. We're keeping our young players, and we could potentially just trade them all at the trade deadline to get players or future spots. Like if it's not during the season, it could be next season that we trade one or two people, and we're banking on our homegrown talent right now instead of spending money.
It does feel like we've said this multiple times over the past couple of years that this is a really good team on paper, and it does feel like they're going with the strategy of, well, let's play this paper out because they should be able to win a World Series.
Yeah,
It does feel like they're putting all our bullpen eggs into Romano bouncing back, which I guess, yay, if it works, it's a genius fucking move because you got him at half the price you would have gotten Hoffman, who is just as questionable.
yeah.
Um, and to your point, if it's not working by halftime, we could
It's
start
just
making some trades.
it's just crazy to me that they're not bringing in. I know there's no guarantee in baseball, but they're not bringing in a guaranteed like relief pitcher that that has shown,
Well,
I don't want to say promise, but has been dependable basically all the years that, or year, wherever they are, however long they've been in the MLB. But that you can count on that person to come in every day, every other day, every whatever it is, in order to get that out. And we're not going all in to do that. We're signing like Romano, who has the injury history. We're signing the Japanese player from KBO who could have potential. We're bringing in all these. Holy shit, these people could be amazing. But it's what if? It's not.
they have to prove themselves, and it feels like we're on borrowed time.
Yeah, every like you said, the contracts are running out fast. Trey Turner and Bryce Harper aren't getting any younger. They may have many years left on their contract, but they're not getting any younger.
Bryce is halfway through, which is a
Yeah.
crazy thought. Um,
So, but you have Schwarber that's running up, and you have JT that's running up, and you have Castellanos that's running up. So your window's closing pretty fast, and you've been losing faster and faster every year in the playoffs.
yeah, I mean, you look at this year: JT, Ranger, and Schwarber. They're not here next year, and then the year after
Yeah,
that, I think it's Castellanos, Bohm, maybe. No, Bohm might be the year after. But your team's starting to leave at that point.
yeah,
And next off season is not JT's going to probably be the top free agent. Uh,
yeah.
okay, so
Sure.
what do you do?
There's
It,
there's no other catchers that are going to be as good as him, so you're going to have to bring him back. You can't
mm-hmm.
you can't depend on Marshawn, and you can't depend on Stubbs. So there's no other option. Like you're gonna extend him, and he's gonna be a 34-year-old catcher, or however old he is, with already bad knees.
Mm-hmm.
It's
So
just what it is.
how would you rate this offseason then? Now, keep in mind, I'm going to throw this out there. Zach Wheeler and Chris Sanchez are technically moves that were made, granted, earlier than the offseason, but they were contracts that were signed this year with the intentions for future. To me, the craziest thing is the amount of focus we put on starting pitching. Because
I think.
you signed Wheeler, you signed Nola in last year's offseason. You extended
Yeah,
Wheeler by the time we started the season. You gave Sanchez an extension in the middle of the season, and then you traded for Jesus in this offseason. So you went and you locked down 4 of your starting positions with Andrew Painter, Mick Abel, and technically Taiwan Walker on staff. And then Ranger hitting free agency the year after. So we're kind of in a Dodgers situation there, minus Taiwan Walker, where we're starting depth. We did very well, I think, in this offseason. Um,
I, I think if you're including those two moves, you have to give yourself like a B to B plus um, off season. But if
mhm.
you're taking them away, you're at like a D plus C minus.
Yeah, it's very hard to remember the Wheeler deal because it happened before opening day, didn't it? Or like that week.
Yeah.
So, but if you think about it, had he hit free agency, he would have been the second hottest agent behind Soto.
Oh, absolutely, for
Because
sure.
we all know, Philly bias aside, he should have been fucking Cy Young. He is a workhorse. If Sale hit the market and he hit the market this year, he still would have been rated above Sale when it came to free agency because Sale, it feels like a fluke year.
Yeah. Yep.
Wheeler kind of feels he's consistent. He's only gotten better the longer the chip's on his shoulder. We lucked that Sanchez went and proved he wasn't a fluke, so he got that extension. Nola on his roller coaster should be an up year this year. Um, Rangers playing for a contract, even if it's not with us, so he should
Yeah.
be better. Painter, I know he's only been throwing 3 innings a game down in the fall Arizona League, but he's still showing promise. And even though I hate the man, and maybe the man isn't going to actually be, um, he's not going to hit it's hard to compliment him, but he probably could be a starter on another team, is kind of where
Yeah.
I'm going with it.
Yeah.
So you have an overload of starters. Center field feels like it was, or outfield felt like it was a push. Um, I don't know.
That was the only thing that you really wanted more from, and you got Max Kepler, and that's not the that's not the move that's going to move the needle, especially in the Philly fan base. Like that's just you know,
Yeah,
if you're saying like we're Pirates fans and your off season was getting Max Kepler, like I could see like all right, like fired up about getting them, but like I don't know.
It
Like I
was an
said, we
Austin
went to the
Hayes
World
move.
Series.
Like honestly, if Austin Hayes didn't die, I feel like he would have just got re-signed.
Yeah,
But because Austin Hayes got injured and then had the kidney infection and then
yeah,
didn't
kidney
fucking play,
lacerate. Yeah,
it was just like, okay, we'll try some. We tried with you, it didn't work. We'll try with somebody else. That's kind of like equal.
yeah.
So I would say the outfield, or at least position players, a push. Just by signing Kepler. Did
And
we
they
sign anyone else
no,
position wise? No, I didn't think so. And then the bullpen, I think, is a downgrade. You lost Hoffman, you lost Estevez. Hoffman might not be what Hoffman was next year, but you still
but you
didn't
still
replace
lost
that
them.
caliber.
Yeah,
And then all you're banking on Romano. That could be a hell of a win. We
you're
lucked out
banking
with
on
Hoffman.
Romano. You're banking on all these minor league uh, signings that you're doing to potentially like wow you and wow the world again. Maybe
Mhm.
like they did before. Or, maybe like they never did like previously. I don't know, but you want something completely different, and you're trying something. So I appreciate it, but I don't think this is the right way to go about it if you're John Middleton and you want your fucking trophy back. Like you gotta go all in on as close to guaranteed as you possibly can.
Honestly, I would have liked a better outfield signing. Um, I do think that Marsh, Castellanos, Rojas, and then if it's Kemp or Kepler through the rest of the year, or if it's somebody else that shows up at halftime or at the All Star break, I think they'll make it work. The bullpen terrifies me, but I feel like the bullpen terrifies me every year, even though like they were rated the number one bullpen heading into last year.
Yeah.
Um, Starting, I don't want to say we're too good, but it does feel like we have a situation. Um, and I don't know how that situation is going to play out because
Like we could if it wasn't for the Dodgers, we could have one of the best starting pitchers in the league. Like
I honestly
I'm
think we have a better starting rotation than them. I don't think Otani's ready to pitch, and I think that's part of why this fuckery's been happening.
could be, but even like I think Roki's going to be good, and I think Yoshi he's back from that weird year that he had, which was I don't know if it was injury uh, laden or what, but I think he's going to be back, and I think he's going to be better than
I don't know.
I don't know.
And maybe it's just hopeful, optimistic. But I would put our roster like higher than theirs when it comes to starting pitching.
Yeah,
Mainly because I think I still think there's fuckery with Otani. I don't think he's gonna be like. First of all, they're not even predicting him to start till May, right?
probably even later, but yeah,
Yeah. So he's maybe half season at best. So you got that out the gate. I think Yoshi was a bust, and I think it's funny that ALA is going to have to eat that. I think Roki is going to be a bust, and he kind of signaled that he was going to be a bust by wanting to play in a small market.
yeah.
Um, and then who else do they have?
They got
Snell's
Glasgow. They got all sorts of. They have
yeah,
everyone.
Snell's a bum.
Yes.
We,
Oh
we
yeah, I forgot about Sounds. Jesus Christ.
Snell's a bum. We figure Snell out every fucking time, so I'm not concerned about Snell. And then who was the other guy?
Glasgow
All right, there's your ace.
and Gilbert, I think.
No, he's in Seattle, isn't he?
Don't they have a Gilbert too though?
Oh, I beats
I
me.
don't know.
But I'm not honestly. I think we have the best starting rotation. You have Wheeler, you have Nola, you have Sanchez. I think Ranger is going to come out the gate hot. I hope he stays hot. Again, it's a contract year, so he might be more susceptible. Of like, all right, take me out of the fifth. Like this arm needs to stay healthy so I can fucking get a big deal.
And
And
with Trump in office, his family could be gone.
yeah, he hits that IL. Boom, you're all back in Venezuela. Um, and then you have Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think if
and then
he could
off
be,
into the wings, you have Painter, Abel. God forbid, Taiwan has a bounce back. He's number 8. He's 8 on your starting rotation. Or no, he's 9. He's 9 on your fucking starting rotation. Like,
Taiwan's putting out those videos, man.
he is. Hopefully, he doesn't Ben Simmons us. So I think I think our starting rotation. I feel really confident with it, and maybe I'll get burnt like I think the Dodgers are going to get burnt.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, like people are like, oh, Wheeler got a little more gray in his chin. He had a 4th fucking kid.
Yeah, that's the only issue is like like I said earlier with pitchers, there's never a guarantee that they're not going to get injured, and they're all getting older. Nola's getting older, Wheeler's getting older, so that's the only thing that's concerning to me.
Yeah, and Wheeler has that thing I've bitched about every goddamn time we talk about pitching in their contracts. He's the 3rd highest paid person in the league, isn't he? 42 million a year.
Yeah, with his AAV, yeah.
It goes Soto. Does Otani count in that list?
No,
Okay, so I know Soto's obviously the top, and I forget who the fuck was second, and then Wheeler's like 3rd. It's like
probably Trout.
you're a 40-year-old pitcher. Oh my god!
Yeah,
Like I would never have done that, but at the same time, I'm all fucking for it. I get
yeah.
it. I finally have hit Eric Barrezo level of sports fandom.
Not yet.
You're right. You're right. I only have one sport that disappoints me right now. You've got
Yeah,
like 8. Like all of a
yeah.
sudden, you're sending me curling updates. Like, you believe this motherfucker didn't sweep hard enough?
But I think as long as our rotation stays healthy, our bats stay healthy, like I think we could potentially stay in there at least for a 7-game series against the Dodgers. You know, that's who you're competing with the most.
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna be really freaking tough, man. They are just a juggernaut, and it scares me that they're in our division, and that's who we have to go against.
The thing that I think gives the Dodgers the edge, where it makes me nervous with the Phillies, their bats can back up their pitching when their pitching isn't doing well, and our bats have not proven that on a consistent basis, even though
Yeah,
they should be able to.
yeah. Our
Uh,
bats, if pitching's going cold, our bats are going cold.
I mean, that was the story of the NLDS. If our
Yeah,
bats had shown up and bailed us out, we would have went and faced the fucking Dodgers,
yeah, for
and then we
sure.
could have had that proving ground there. But the fact that I think that's what ultimately scares me about our bullpen. We could have starters go out there and throw 5 amazing innings. If we can't close it out with a 4, or at least get far enough ahead in our runs, I think that's where the
Yep,
Dodgers would beat us. That's where any team would beat us, honestly. As at this fucking point, that's where the Mets are gonna fucking beat us at this point.
yep. But there's what 21 days until pitchers and catchers report.
I think so, and I'm excited.
So I think there's a lot to happen. I guess you can say of where it's going to go, who's going to be your starting pitchers, who's going to be your bullpen. So there's a lot to happen. You basically know your infield, outfield. You know all that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not really wondering that. The only thing that you're wondering is, well, I guess Max Kepler is already going to be your left fielder, and Marsh and Rojas are your center field. So no, yeah, everyone's already set with all that.
It's
Um,
maybe 1 or 2 bench pieces. Like, is
yeah,
it
I was
going to
going to
be
say the only
Cody or
thing.
Weston?
Yeah, yeah, that's the only thing that you're really questioning is who's going to be bench. But your number one thing that you're looking at this year is your starting pitcher and your bullpen to see where they're at.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Well,
I think that's going to do it for us this week. Somehow we pulled a lot of something out of a lot of nothing when it comes to Phillies news. Talk about the Hall of Fame, talking about the Dodgers, and just basically the game itself, which I enjoyed our conversation.
I agree.
Uh,
Fantastic.
what do you got going on, sir?
Just trying to hunt down that baseball beat writer who did not vote for Ichiro. That's it.
You son of a bitch. We'll find you.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
you have to be near. We know you're in New York.
Have to.
We narrowed it down.
Who's the well? It could be, who are the Mariners' number one rival? Is it the Angels?
Back then,
Yeah. Like,
maybe.
who's their number one rival? I don't even know.
That league
But
sucks.
it could be whoever that team is, that beat writer.
It could have been the Angels. I mean, they're delusional.
Yeah.
They might be like, no, the reason we never won one was because fucker was up in Seattle.
Or it could be like John Heyman, who came out and said, "We got to find this idiot who didn't vote for him." Like, he could be that guy. Like, you have no idea. Like, he could
Throw
be
him off the
sharing
scent.
somebody else's um, ballot that he turned in. And it doesn't matter, like, if it has his name on it or whatever. Like, yeah, that's not me.
Comes out with the blood on his hands. Who did it?
Yeah,
Who did this?
exactly.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week on the Jersey Fanatics. Check out everything we do at basementprotocolproductions.com, facebook.com/Basement Protocol Productions. The YouTubes are youtube.com/the BPP official and youtube.com/BPP pods. You can hear this anywhere you hear podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Anchor, whatever's out there. And lastly, the Dameathon is April 25th to the 27th. All details can be found at basementprotocolproductions.com. I've been Chris the Dace Man Dace. He's been Eric Perezzo.
Bye-bye.
That'll do it for us this week on the Jersey Fanatics. Remember, Basement Dollars, stick to the protocol and ring that bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh, yeah.